Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Johnson, and this is the Perpetual Chess Podcast. On Perpetual Chess, I have weekly conversations with the chess world's best players, promoters, and educators about their lives, careers, current projects, and best practices. For more information, go to perpetualchesspod.com. Hello, everyone. I'm here with recently crowned U.S. Women's Champion Sabina Foisor. Sabina, congratulations, and thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ben. I'm very happy to be here with you.
So you're having quite a year, Sabina, both up and down. Can you relive for the audience what you've experienced the past few months in this young year?
Sure. So it's been a tough year because, at the beginning of the year, I have heard that my mom's health was not very good. So by the time I went back to Romania, she was not in a very stable stage, and we lost her on 21st of January. So it has been a very tough period for me because she has been a generation, both, as a person, of course, as a mother, you're always looking up to your mother, but as a chess player as well, she has given me a lot of strength in general. Being a very positive person, and so having lost her, not being able to talk to her was very tough for me. So I really wanted to try to stay strong and work as much as I can so that I can somehow keep her memory alive, but it's been a difficult time. So being able to win the U.S. Women's Championship was definitely a dream that both of us have had. I don't know if we ever thought it would be possible because sometimes I wasn't training much enough, but it's really it's makes me happy that I was able to do this year. Yeah. So.
And first of all, I'm really sorry for your loss. I can't imagine what the last few months have been like for you and your family.
Thank you.
So, and for listeners who don't know, I suspect most will, but your mother is international master Christina Foisor. She won the Romanian National Women's Championship many times. Great player, and I know that the obituaries that I read after her passing were basically uniformly touching, so it must have been just a very difficult period for you. So I'm glad that...
Yes, it was indeed. And she has won many Romanian national championships. So aside from being an international master, she was a women's grandmaster and top player in the country. For probably the past 30 years, she has always been, one of the top players of the country and one of the lead members of the Romanian Olympic team. She has played 14 Olympiads, and she was also great as a person because, you can be a great chess player, but I think people will also remind you by your character. And, it's made me feel good to see a lot of people really loved her and were as shocked by her death as we were. The fact that they were kind enough to share their stories that they had with my mom, with my family, that meant a lot to us because it gave us good memories. So, yeah.
Yeah, and 49 is so young. I don't know.
Yes.
It's up to you how much you want to talk about it. I know you've been living this every day, all year. But would you want to talk a little bit about what she was like as a mother, since we all can review her chess games and see that she was an amazingly accomplished player?
Yes, she was a very kind person and very motivating, and she kind of shared this with us, with my sister and myself. I have a younger sister who's a women's international master. She's not playing chess as much anymore. She's focusing on her research in biology and genetics. But my mom has shared a lot of love and and affection, and she has taught us a lot and always wanted us to aim high. She said that even if you don't get as high as you aim, you will eventually, get much higher than if you would just aim, somewhere really low, because you would have always a goal ahead of yourself. And that's something that, I always keep with me, because I think it's a good motto to have in life. So, these are some things Okay. Of course, there would be. If I would, enumerate all of them, probably this interview would take a really long time. So,
okay. And your mother.
She's been great.
So you grew up in Romania. Your mother, I'm sure, is basically a chess legend there. Can you tell us a little bit about the chess culture in Romania?
Sure. So, we had some very strong chess players. Along the years, Florin Gheorghiu, the Grandmaster, he's currently, I think, still residing in Switzerland, but he was the one who has played against Bobby Fischer, and he has drawn some games. So, I mean, that's I think, something really really amazing for a country to have that kind of background history. So, and we also had some very strong female chess player, Elisabeta Polihroniade, you might have heard of her. She also recently passed away. And I don't know, like, we had it in the history, and we also have been, being part of the Soviet bloc, I think, has helped kind of develop the chess culture somewhat. We had access to a lot of Russian magazines. I know when my parents were younger, they had access to a lot of Russian magazines, and they would study them. And I think that's how it kind of got brought into the culture, mostly because after the Second World War, we were part of the Soviet bloc. Although our language, Romanian language, is a Latin language,
right?
But we were under them. We kept our language, but we got some of the cultural traditions, let's say that, and chess got brought into our culture, and and basically myself, I learned from my parents who were both very strong chess players. We already mentioned my mom, but my father is also an international master, and he won the Romanian championship in 1982, long time ago. But at that time, it was a really strong field. So we were always very proud about that. And he has dedicated his life to basically coach us and try to always find the best material that would fit and things like that. So that's how it was brought into the family, I guess.
Okay. And were your parents chess professionals?
Yes, they were. They both had finished university. My father was an engineer, and my mom finished the University of Mathematics. But they never. Well, my father did have a job for a short period of time, but once he met my mom and they had me, they focused on chess solely. So teaching and playing and coaching. Yeah.
Okay. And were there, was chess, besides the strong players like your whole family and the other people you mentioned, was there a strong interest in chess throughout Romania? Or were you mostly traveling to play?
You mean us as a family?
As you were growing up.
Chess is pretty developed in Romania. They have started in recent years also to introduce it in schools. We have a lot of very strong chess players and a lot of grandmasters. So there were some interests there too, but I think throughout the years we haven't really received as much help from the Romanian Chess Federation. So we mostly focused on playing abroad. We would play the national championships and for the team when it was possible, but not so many tournaments in Romania. I think we were appreciated more abroad for some reason.
Okay. And you, like many of our guests, were a strong chess player born outside of the United States, but you were able to come here for what I presume was a chess scholarship since you went to UMBC?
Correct.
Okay. And part of a storied program there. Who did you get to study with while at UMBC?
Well, I got... yes, in 2008, I was accepted at UMBC, which was pretty awesome. My parents were not so happy about it because my chess career basically stagnated a lot, and actually it went down. My rating went down over 100 rating points, and chess-wise it wasn't so great, but I thought it was really important to have an education as well. And so I focused mostly on school. I was able for some time to balance both, but I focused mostly on school. We did have a coach at UMBC, Grandmaster Sam Palatnik, but we didn't really have that many trainings with him. I think each of the players kind of worked on their own, and I tried to find coaches outside, like that I would hire myself and
right.
and work with more than at UMBC. Unfortunately, I would have hoped things would be different, but there wasn't, unfortunately, as much focus on chess as I would have hoped. And I think it made some sense for the way things were going in the administration, that we wouldn't have that much coaching. But okay, I don't want to address that too much. I think
right.
Yeah, mostly I focused on my own when I was there, and I hired a coach. Yeah.
That's funny that you mentioned your parents were disappointed you went to UMBC. I thought you were going to say because it was so far away, but it was because you wanted to...
Well, no. Yeah, it was because it was far away and not because UMBC. Obviously, it is a very good university. I'm sorry if I...
No, but yeah, also you made it sound like they wanted you to really pursue chess even more, with more dedication than you were by going to university.
Yes, and the reason is that in 2007, I had qualified. So in the European Women's Chess Championship is one of the strongest events of the year. I mean, if you look at how many, because a lot of Russian chess players are participating, a lot of grandmasters from really all Europe, and we know that Europe has probably the most grandmasters everywhere. So so I had finished, I shared 5th place in European Women's Chess Championship. And that was a really great result, which also helped me qualify for the World Chess Championship. And if you look at the standings every single year, you'll realize it's really hard to make that happen. My mom has made it many times, but, as a young chess player, I didn't have probably as many ambitions, and I was still trying to finish up my high school, so it was not an easy field, let's just put it that way. And I had a bad start, and I made it, and so that was really a great year for me. And so I also gained a lot of rating. I got close to 2400. I had 2 IM norms. I was really, like, we call it on the wave. In
right.
Romania, we have this expression. I'm not sure if it's used in English as well. But I was really, going forward. And so once you see that you're improving a lot, and after a stagnation period, if you really want more from yourself, you should really dedicate time to study and move forward. And I think they were right for a chess career. That was the moment to focus on chess and not go study. I could have taken a year off to see how it would go, but I haven't done so. I just suddenly, told them I got a scholarship at UMBC. I'm going to take it and focus somewhere else. And that was the disappointed that a little disappointed. Of course, they're very proud that, I finished cum laude. So it's, it's a great, it's something great, to do it in a country that you're not so familiar with the language with at that point. At least I wasn't. I'm still learning. So that was their disappointment, that I had worked so hard to get where I was at that point, and then I just let it go, and things simply changed because my focus was not solely chess anymore. There were other things which were more important. So
And
I hope now it makes more sense.
Sure. And do you have any regrets?
Probably not. I mean, of course, there are some things that maybe you want to change in your life, but I think considering that they have brought me where I am today, I think, I'm happy with my choices, because every choice, even good or bad, it leads to something. And even if at that moment you might not realize what it leads to, eventually you will. And I think it's always for the best. So, every experience, even bad, is helpful for the future. That's how I like to think about it.
I feel the same way. Certainly have some things I might change, but on the other hand, if you're happy with where you are, just be grateful for that.
Yeah.
So what did you study at UMBC?
I studied, it was a really long name for my major. It was called Modern Language and Linguistics, and I concentrated on French culture. And I also minored in Russian language and in psychology. And then I went on to pursue my master's there as well in intercultural communication, and I focused on training. That's
funny. I think this is about the 21st or so episode of this podcast, and you're the fifth guest who studied Russian as a foreign language, so including myself. So it just goes to show you the power of chess, because I don't think that would be the case in like a sample of 21 people off the street. You would not find so many people studying Russian.
Well, there was for multiple reasons. I was actually at that point dating a Russian guy, so my idea was, I think it's important when you are with somebody to try to show them that you care about them, to show them that you care about their culture too. And in my view, understanding a culture, you can only do it by learning the language. So, at that point I thought, okay, but I was probably studying it for half a year, and that relationship didn't quite work. But I told myself, I started this, I'm not going to let it go. So now I'm going to do it for myself, and, be able to later speak with someone, or at least understand if someone is talking about me and it's not so nice. So right. I would know those things. So I went on myself to learn the language. I don't regret it. I mean, I'm still shy to speak it because Russian is such a difficult language, and they have so many endings that you have to change as you're putting the words in a sentence. And so I try not to speak it because I'm afraid I make too many mistakes. But I do understand, so I could, understand what you're saying and then answer you in English. That would work.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way in terms of being a little gun shy at speaking it, especially because, like you, I studied it in college, and I'm a bit older than you, so I can, the phrases you would find in a phrase book I can mostly remember, but in terms of like generating complete thoughts, they would probably be pretty ugly. If I tried. I'm sure people would understand you, but probably, it might take a little bit of time. I mean, I have that feeling, so I'm happy to have it under my belt, but, And your fiance is Iranian chess player.
Yes.
So have you taken up Persian?
Yes, I started learning, but it's a way harder language than Russian was. And the reason is, the reason Russian was easier for me was that in the Romanian language, we have some Slavic influence. Not very much, but I think it's one of the hardest Latin languages. and because it has the Slavic influence, and you don't know sometimes what to do, how to bring the Latin. And so in Persian, the Persian is a language that is not similar to any of the other languages that I can speak. And the grammar is also very different. And the writing is from right to left, right? So,
oh, wow.
So you have to learn all of those things. And I got mad at some point because they have the sound and letter that to me sounds exactly the same and it's the same. And I was asking my fiancé, how am I going to learn all these things? I mean, it's the same. He's like, well, you have to memorize the word. I'm like, but you have so many words. How am I going to do it?
Right.
So I'm struggling with it, but it's going. I'm hoping, in some years, I should be able to speak at least. Have some simple conversations. For now, it's just words.
And yeah, I better you than me is all I can say. sounds hard.
Yeah.
So what other languages do you speak?
I can speak French and Spanish and English and Romanian, of course. Italian I understand a lot, but I haven't practiced it in a really long time. So, I like to say to only mention the languages that I know that I could speak fluently and I could have a good conversation with someone. The other ones I typically just, I keep them under my belt until I will have the chance to improve them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's pivot over to chess.
Sure.
So after college, you've made your way to Texas, and I know on your website it says you've been basically just teaching and playing chess the past few years. Mm-hmm. So what's a day like for you? What do you do in a typical day? Setting aside the family issues you've had, if you just had a day with a clear mind where you were going to work on chess and teach chess, what would you do?
I think it depends on the day, and it has really over the years it was different for me because first I didn't have a job. And I try to, get some students and teach. And then I had a job and I didn't focus so much on chess. Right now, I don't have one aside from chess. So I try to teach a couple of hours a day, up to 4 or 5. And then I try to work on my own chess 4 or 5 hours as well. I think it really depends on the day. I've since the U.S. Championships and things have, calmed down a little bit for me. So I'm trying to exercise as well. I mean, it really depends on the day. I don't have a day that's the same, but I try to add these things: exercise, working on my own chess, and then working on. Teaching, and then once I have the time, actually, I've started updating my website a little bit because, considering some health issues, I haven't posted so much, and I thought that I should make some changes. So I'm in process of changing the website. When I have the chance, I do that. But of course, in the most part, I like to also spend it with my fiance. We try to work together on things and spend time together in general.
Okay, and how'd you guys end up in Texas?
Well, he was here. He came to study at Texas Tech, and he and I started talking in 2014, and I was not I hadn't graduated UMBC yet. And, we thought, we understood each other really well online, but if we wanted to have a relationship, we thought that, it made sense to kind of move in the same city. And as I was graduating and he was pursuing his PhD, I thought I would make that move. And that's how I moved here in Lubbock, in September of 2014, and then I've been here since.
How do you like it down there?
Well, we're actually thinking to move away from here. It's been kind of a different experience than I had in Maryland. I felt that in Maryland people were more open to other cultures and like really excited to meet you, and they would treat you as an equal. But I haven't really had the same feeling here in Texas. Obviously, we've met some really nice people with whom we hope to keep friendships, but some of the other people have treated us from up down in a way. Maybe mostly Elshan because he's from Iran, and you know there have been a lot of stereotypes going on. But yeah, you feel if you're not really welcome in a place, I think, and it's been tough for some time for us.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It always makes me a little sad when a country that was founded on tolerance has not been as tolerant recently. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
So disappointing, but you're not. Texas does have that reputation, so I hope that you don't judge our whole country based on that experience.
No. I not at all. I really don't like to stereotype.
Yeah, me either. For the record, I apologize to any tolerant Texans who are listening. I'm not talking about you. But
yeah, I understand. No, but I like I said, some of the people that we met. So not everyone, and I try to reiterate that some of the people that treated us not so nicely, okay, maybe I expected too much because of Maryland. I don't know. But like I said, some of the people weren't so nice, and it was a tough time. But, we met some really great people. We made some nice friendships. And, we're looking to relocate now. That Elshan is not really at Texas Tech anymore, so we're both looking for places that we would enjoy being in, and where we also know somebody who's going to be kind enough to give us a hand at the beginning of our careers in whatever is going to be. So we want to make sure that we have that in the next place that's where we will go, because here it wasn't quite that way.
Any ideas where you might go?
We're looking at the East Coast. I would really like to be in a place closer to a bigger city where, from where I could travel back home easier if necessary, back home to Romania. I have multiple homes, so you'll hear me saying home a lot. But I think that in every place where you have somebody dear, you can consider home. And so East Coast, I don't know, maybe North Carolina, South Carolina, even back to Maryland or Virginia. We'll see. We're still in the process of figuring out.
And you guys, are you both looking for jobs, or what's your career status and your husband Elshan's career status?
We are looking for opportunities, not specifically jobs. I think if we find something that we will both like, we would both, try to find a job outside of chess. I think at this point, this U.S. Being the U.S. champion has given me, has opened some horizons for me, so I can try to see if I can focus a little bit on chess and see how that goes. He mostly, I think, might be looking for a potential job, but he's always up to a coaching position as well, and staying in the chess business. So he has done some really awesome reports lately.
Yeah, he has.
He collaborated with a lot of famous, websites. I don't know. Should I say the name or not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go right ahead.
Chessbase and chess.com. I think he's doing a great job writing. So I'm I'm supporting him whatever he wishes to do in the future. Of course, I wouldn't really want him to completely get out of the chess scene, but I want to be supportive. He has been a great support to me in the past, this year, but throughout the time that we're together. And so, I want to reciprocate, of course, and whatever he chooses to do, I'll be very happy to support him. So, well, we take the decisions together.
Yeah, your husband wrote a really nice tribute to your mother.
Yes.
So I guess he got to know her a little bit as well.
Yeah, we got to. I got to introduce him to my parents at one tournament, and then he has seen my mom at the Olympiad as well, and so they also unfortunately had to play together, which that was not
funny.
A very funny story, but Alshan ended up winning, and. As chess players, we're all, we are serious competitors, and the moments when you lose are not very fun, I think. And it was a little bit tough for some time, but, my parents really loved him, my mom also. And, I'm very happy they both got to meet him, and yeah.
Okay, so... in terms of your teaching, do you do most of your lessons, are they online or in person or both?
For the moment, I'm only doing online lessons. Only online for now.
And do you enjoy teaching chess?
Yes, I really enjoy teaching chess, and sometimes more than training myself to improve. I think it's great to have been given the opportunity, of learning to play chess and then getting so high. And, it's really important to share your knowledge with others. And, that makes me happy when I teach. So I hope I'm doing a good job.
So, Sabina, if a 1700 chess player reaches out to you, say it's like a 13-year-old 1700 who's thinking about hiring you as a coach and looking to improve, what course do you set out for them?
Well, I start by looking at their most recent games, and I ask them about their previous chess work, with whom they worked. I think it's important to know the person and know their background in chess first, and then looking at their recent games, try to analyze and find their weaknesses, their strength, and then develop the material based on that, because everybody is different, and you cannot just have the same thing for everyone. Maybe some exercises you can use the same ones because those specific people need that kind of theme to be addressed, but in general, I like to look at their weaknesses and strength, and I go from there. And I also make sure that they have a goal, some goal, like easier goal that they can hopefully reach pretty soon, and then one, the ultimate goal. In chess, like I was telling you at the beginning of the interview. My mom was really emphasizing on the importance of having a really high goal. Even if you think you might not be able to reach it, it's better to have it than not to. So that starts the drive in a person to work for that goal. So nice. I hope I answered your question entirely.
Yeah, for sure.
I cannot be more specific since, I would have to go through those steps first.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of listeners are looking for help with their chess. And, we've had a few guests, and I've seen a few interviews elsewhere where it's just so hard to give general advice. I think it's surprisingly so, because each person has different strengths and weaknesses. For each rating, there might be different things you should work on. But do you have any books or resources that you find yourself recommending over and over again to students?
Tactical one, I really enjoy the Invisible Chess Moves by a friend of ours, Johanna Nafek. That's, one of my favorite tactical books. And then it's a great, tactical book. But of course, there are John Nunn's books as well are very good. I like the style of writing of Grandmaster Jacob Agard. He has a lot of great chess books. He's going to have one coming up very soon, a new one also. And as an endgame, I like the endgame book. I like the Endgame Manual by Mark Dvoretsky. That was, a book that I keep dear to my heart. I also received it from a very nice friend of ours that has actually taught me how to swim. It's a funny story. When I was a kid, we used to play for their team in France, in Grenoble, and he was the president at that point, and a very nice man, and I was always his favorite. I think when we would go with my parents, we would hang out, and when the book appeared, I had told him that I really loved that. I thought it looked great, so he gave me a copy, and I have it in French actually.
Oh, funny!
So sometimes when I teach my students, if I refer to some of the notes, I probably translated from French, and it is not the exact word that should be used in English. Like, for example, I use the moving square in King Pawn Endgames, and actually you should say the box, or like I say the square, but you should say the box. When the king enters and traps a passed pawn, you say that the king is in the box.
Right.
In English, but in Romanian and in other languages, you say that the square. So sometimes when I first started teaching, I would use that. Now I also recommend as an endgame book Silman's endgame. I'm not sure the exact name, but
I know which one you mean. It's great for teaching too.
Yes, yeah. Anyways, there are a lot of great books out there. I think, it's important to study all parts of the game, not just focus on openings. Recently, because chess has been, the computers became a great and super important part of chess, people are focusing a lot on openings. And while I totally agree that, sometimes you can win brilliant games from analysis that you have made at home, you have to really learn to play technical chess as well, and learn the different motifs that exist out there. And I think somebody at some point has done a research on chess players and what differentiates, top level chess players, like somebody like Magnus Carlsen from, somebody who's 2500. What would be the big difference? And I think it's really, they have a much better, pattern recognition. Obviously, Magnus Carlsen is the greatest. But let's just say somebody from the top 10 in the world compared to somebody who's 2600. What differentiates them, I think, is that those top players have a much better pattern recognition. They have seen much more, and they keep seeing more and more positions, and I think that's a really big difference compared to the rest of the chess players. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but recently on Chess24 they picked up an interview with Alexander Morozevich, and he was talking about Carlsen, and that was basically exactly what he said. Okay. It's not that, I mean, obviously he's great at calculating, but it's not that's not what separates him. And Jun Ludwig Hammer was a guest on this podcast, and obviously has gotten to know Magnus some, and trained with him as a kid, and suggested the same thing.
Okay.
So
I haven't. I've seen the Morozevich interview. It's on my list to read, but I haven't gotten the chance to read it fully. So
it's really interesting.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'd never, his games are kind of legendary because he's such an original thinker. But
yes.
I'd never seen one like him utter a word in an interview, and he's a pretty introspective guy. I definitely recommend it to anyone listening. Of
course, yeah.
So, in terms of, I saw your interview going into the last round of the tournament with Maurice Ashley, and you mentioned in that you hadn't had a chance to do much preparation for the tournament. Obviously, in light of your mother's passing, that's understandable. But being that we were talking about openings, I was curious how much prep you did do for each opponent, and if it worked out or not. Like if the prep that you did is what ended up happening or not in your games.
Mostly it hasn't, and I haven't done any opening prep until the tournament, actually, because really there was no time, and I decided that it was most important for me to get in shape and to work on my middle game, and that's what my coach has suggested, actually. Before my mom's passing, we weren't sure of her situation, whether she was in coma for some time, less than a week, and we were hoping that she would wake up from the coma. And I talked to Elshan and asked him, is there anybody I could work with that could help me get in shape so that I could participate, because I also participate in the Women's World Chess Championship in Iran, and I wanted to do that for my mom. She was very excited that I would go as well, because it has never happened that a mother and a daughter had played in the World Chess Championship. And so I asked Elshan what does he think, and he has talked to actually somebody I mentioned earlier in the interview, Grandmaster Jacob Agard, and he was kind enough to work with me a little bit on my middle games, and that has helped me a lot. Having these dispositions to solve every single day kind of made me not think about after my mom's passing, because I couldn't do anything as she was in coma. But after my mom's passing, he has helped me, enter in shape and work on those positions. And that was my preparation before the tournament. And during it, I prepared some openings, but most of them really didn't happen. So
well, that's inspiring in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, openings are sort of a necessary evil, but I don't think that the effect of computers on openings, I don't think overall is that great for chess as a spectator sport. So, it's the prepared wins can be interesting, but I'd rather just see people duke it out personally.
Right. Also, you have to memorize a lot. You have to put your mind to memorize everything that you're analyzing, because obviously a computer is going to tell you how it's winning, but you have to understand why it's winning and how to make changes in case your opponent doesn't really make that specific move that you have analyzed at some point. So it's really a lot of work, and I think given that I really did not do any opening preparation before the tournament, I wouldn't have had even time to complete everything till the end. So it's good that I didn't do it, because but I did have some preparations that were I hope maybe they will be useful in the future.
Good. So Grandmaster Agard's name has come up a lot recently on the podcast. So what sort of work on middle games does he do with you? Does he send you positions or look at show games to you, or what's his approach in your lessons with him?
Well, I don't know if I should reveal all that. I think people should try. It's very similar to how he's teaching the book, how he's written his books. That's what I can say. I mean, there are various positions that you have to try. You have to look at and try to understand what is going on and how you would approach the position, and then we would work on them together after I will have written the solution. It's kind of like that. So mostly the work, I do it on my. I have the positions. I work on my own, and then we would go over them in class.
So it's like a take home test, basically.
Yeah, we don't really call it test. I think you're putting a lot of pressure if you call it test. That's what he told me. So we are not calling them tests. It's just the training, and you work on them.
I mean, that's nice of him to say, but there's no escaping pressure in chess. I mean,
that's true.
You played for the national U.S. championship and $25,000, so I think a test pales in comparison.
But I think, for me, there's really no pressure because I had lost already the most important person in my life. There's nothing that I had to lose anymore. And so for me, there's no pressure. After all, it's just money, and it's not going to bring back my mom.
Right.
So there was no pressure money-wise for me, really, at all. And also, I think there's no pressure because nobody ever thought that I would win. I was not one of the players that they would discuss had the chance to win the tournament. So this worked in my favor, I think.
And you mentioned the importance of goals, and that's something that your mom taught you. Did you enter the tournament with an explicit goal of winning the tournament, or did you have a different goal?
No, I just wanted to play good chess and play good games and try to, not be afraid that I might lose or something. I was hoping maybe third, if I could do it, and but I didn't know what my stage was, my state of mind. Because I just, I was just, I'm still under shock even now. Yeah. So,
and as the tournament unfolded and you started to ascend the leaderboard, did your goals change, or did you just try to focus on the next game?
Still just on the next game, yeah. I didn't look at maybe after I won the game. Actually, after I drew Nazi in round 9, I thought, wow, okay, I have a chance to finish in top 3, close to my goal. I should not, let this go away. I should focus to try to play my best.
Where were you in the standings at that point?
I was sharing. Right before the round, Nazi and I was shared first, and then we played together, round 9. So after round 8, I think that's the point that I caught up with her.
Okay. And
round 9 we played against each other, and okay, we were equal. So that was the point that I thought, okay, now I'm close to third place. I should really try my best to make this happen. And it was only, when after I won the game that I thought, my last round, after I won my last round, that I thought, wow, okay, I really have a chance to win this. I mean, I was hoping to play a match, Nazi, if she had won her last round. I was getting ready for that,
right.
But okay, then it didn't.
Yeah, and it was an amazing last round game, just an incredible tactical combination at the end. Were you? We had Nazi on as a guest on the podcast previously, so I'm hoping to make it a tradition to have the U.S. Women's Champion. But Nazi did an amazing job taking us through sort of the emotions of the tournament. I think that you might be a little emotionally spent, given the events in your life in the past year. So how were you able to focus on the chess during your games, especially in the last rounds, or did you find yourself thinking about the stage and the prizes and stuff like that while playing?
Well, do you want me to start from the beginning, from round 1, or just look at towards the end?
I think towards the end.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
Well, I was, like I said earlier, I was not thinking about the prize money at all. And I tried during the games as much as possible not to think about my mom. It happened to me a couple of times. The thought would, I mean, it happened a lot of times, but to think about the specific thing that we would do together, and now I would almost start crying, and I told myself no, and I would get back to calculating some variation on the board in order not to let those emotions come back to me, but at least not during the game, because outside of the game, okay, it was different, but during the game I tried just to focus on it, and I think I was the most nervous probably the last round. When I played against Anna in round 10, Anna Zatonsky, she has won a lot of games against me. I was never able to win against her, and I thought I had a good position, and then suddenly I realized that I messed it up, and I thought I need to try to come up with some kind of combination in order to be able to utilize the fact that she was in time trouble. I think she had about 2 minutes for, 15 moves or something. So at that moment, that was the first time that I started really, being a little bit nervous when I knew that I messed up and I wouldn't be there on I wouldn't have that chance to be third anymore, as I was mentioning to you earlier. And I came up with this night idea, and under time pressure, she was unable to find a winning move, rook f8 at some point, and she would trap my knight. And after I won that game, I felt a little bit relieved because I would be third for sure. I called my sister after the round, and she told me, "Congrats, you're top 3. Mom would have been proud of you."
Aww.
In Romania, by the way, being in top 3 is a really big deal. And so I told her, "Thank you so much, but in the US, a big deal is only if you become a champion."
Right.
And she said, "Well, be careful what you wish for, because, if you're not happy with what you have, it might be taken away from you." And we always, encourage each other this way. Like, we make sure we keep each other with the feet on the ground. And I said, yes, I'll be careful last round. And I started getting, I think, nervous in the last round because I knew that it's possible to also win the title. And but I had black against Apurva Virkud, who has had who has improved a lot lately. She's a youngster who has really, I think, a great life ahead if she chooses to play chess. And Nazi was playing with white against another youngster, Jennifer Yu. And so I thought, she definitely had much better chances to win with white than I had against Apurva with black. Considering also that our ratings, mine and Apurva's, were about the same. And so I thought, okay, I need to play something different just to be able to get a position that I like and just, play chess. And I was happy with the way my game turned out, because I think, out of the opening, I just, with black, had a small advantage, which is not something you normally get with black. I think she has she thought I wanted to surprise her, and she wanted to surprise me back, which she did, by playing this line of Nimzovich with Queen C2, which is something she had not played. I think she had played 5 years ago, or one game. And she played it really fast, and I think that might have been a mistake for her, because it just gave me a better position. And I told myself, okay, now I need to stay solid, and I did, and I just played the game. Basically, I didn't think now I have the chance to win or something, until I actually saw that sacrifice that you're mentioning, queen sacrifice at the end, and I knew that I had the mate. But earlier I just thought, I just need to improve my position and just play chess and not think about anything else. And in fact, I didn't look at Nazi's game. Just focused on my own game and, try to stay there with calculating variations all the time, and not so that other things wouldn't come to my mind. And when I saw this opening of her king, I played the night before at some point. She captured a pawn in d4, and I pushed e3. I had calculated all that line, and everybody really paid a lot of attention to my queen sacrifice, but I was more proud of having found this sequence to actually play rook f6 earlier to attract her to move that, or to make her move her rook from f1. I think rook f6 was definitely the best move. A harder move to see than the queen sacrifice, and I was very proud. And at that moment, I knew that I'm going to win. It meant a lot to me, and I knew that I have ensured second place, and so I was relaxed and waited to see how things would turn out.
Yeah, just a great game. I'll have to look again at the rook 6 idea. I mean, I did see it, but of course, to me, the sacrifice is what stood out. And did you feel increased self-doubt in your calculation, like given the stakes, or were you just you've done enough tactics where you knew it worked?
I've done it. I think I've done enough tactics. My father didn't believe me, actually. When I told him, he was like, I heard your interview. I had given an interview for chess.com, and I said that, I only double checked that once or twice, like two or three times maybe. But he's like, I'm sure you double checked it at least 10 times. And, I think I saw that there's a mate. I mean, really, I really didn't do it that many times. There was, of course, a little bit of pressure because I would sacrifice my queen, but I knew that I have at least Perpetual, so I went for it. Because draw would have been fine too. So. Right. So I wasn't so nervous, but I had seen that there was a mate, so yeah. Okay. The emotions came. I think the emotions came afterwards, because I was really looking forward. It's a very funny story, actually. After having won against Anna Zatonsky in round 10, I saw that my performance was 24-50. Normally that's a performance to get an IM norm. And the first thing that I did after winning the game, well, one of the first things was to write an email to the arbiter, Frank Guadalupe, and ask him, did I make it? Did I make it? Because this would be my third norm. And he told me, he didn't answer to me that night. He answered to me the next morning and said that actually not, but I'll explain later. Just play your game. That's what he told me. And so I immediately after winning, I went to him and I asked him, so did I make the norm now? Because now my performance would be higher. And he explained to me that because there were 11 rounds or 10 rounds before, I needed to have 4 IMs, not only 3. So we had Grandmaster Irina Krush, International Master Anna Zatonsky, and International Master Nazi Paikidze. And there are no other international men's international masters in the tournament, and that was the reason I couldn't get my norm. So even if even with my last round win, I didn't make that norm. But this will be a funny story, I think, to tell to people that I didn't care that I'm going to share first or something. That I cared whether I made my last norm, but I didn't. So I think I will have chances, hopefully, in the future to make that last norm. Certainly, if you go chase it and play like that, I think you'll be okay. Sabina, if it's okay with you, I just have a couple more topics. Yes, of course. Great. Sure. So you mentioned the Women's World Championship in Iran and the fact that you got to play with your mother. Obviously, there was the big controversy with wearing the hijab. You probably had to talk about it a bit, but do you mind just touching on what your perspective on that issue was? Sure. So I think I saw Nazi and I are friends, and I saw her post about it, and I agreed with her on some terms and maybe not on others. You also have to think that I am dating and I'm engaged to an Iranian man, so I think it would be very disrespectful if I will tell him that I'm not going to play the World Championship in your country because I have to wear the scarf. It's not really a hijab. I have to mention that, you know, the hijab covers your face completely and doesn't show any hair. In Iran, you actually don't wear that. Don't have to wear that. You wear a scarf on your head, so it covers about half of your head. I've seen girls who had only half of their head covered, so the other half you show hair. And I think it's become in recent years more of a like an accessory in a way. It's not. I think it's not. It didn't seem as terrible, but I do see the points of the other side. I mean, there are pluses and minuses, and to tell you the truth, maybe if it wouldn't be for a World Championship, maybe I wouldn't go either. I don't see it necessarily as much as a sign of oppression. I do realize that it could be seen as one, and maybe it is for some, so I really don't want to start controversies on any sides. The reason I did it, I want everybody to understand that I did it for my mom, mostly, because she, having learned, you know, that she could have cancer, like at that point that she accepted the invitation, she didn't know that she had cancer. And when I learned that it got down to me to participate, I knew that I had to do it for her. I had to go there and be with her. So that was the reason. I would have gone anywhere to still be able to spend some time with my mom. I think that's what I want people to understand why I did it. Maybe in other circumstances I wouldn't have done it, but considering again that I'm, you know, engaged to an Iranian man, I think it's very disrespectful to completely tell him I won't go in your country. And so, yeah, my main reason was to go for my mom. And then even after she passed, I wanted to go even more because I learned that FIDE, despite that there are a lot of controversies of things that maybe they don't do right, I got really impressed that they didn't take my mom off the roster. They kept her place there and they honored her during the event. So being able to be part of something where your mother is honored, I think it's really something amazing. So I wouldn't miss it if, you know, even if I wouldn't be qualified, maybe I would go to at least, you know, see how my mom is honored there. They gave me for her a very beautiful statue of a horse. My mom really enjoyed knights on the board, and in Romanian we have the same word for knight and horse. And I think Elshan, kind of my fiance, had something to do. He discussed with the Iranian Federation at some point. They wanted to do something and they didn't know what. So I think he had given them the idea, and they talked a little bit about her, and you know that just meant very much to me. So I did that for her, and of course, once the opening ceremony was over, I had to focus on my games as well, and I did. Unfortunately, you know, my opponent was stronger this time. She eventually ended up winning the world championship. So, you know, I didn't lose to anyone. I lost to the future world champion. So I think it was something that, you know, will always have, you know, it makes me sad in a way that I had to go in those conditions, but I know I also took somebody else's place. So, you know, there are a lot of things here that can be counted, but I want people to know, and if anybody is doubting or wondering why I did this, I want them to know that it was for my mom. So I hope well, I don't start any controversy or anything like that. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. It's very touching, and I know that your mom has quite a legacy in chess. So it's totally. I don't think there's anyone who would want to miss their parent being honored in that way. And obviously, just generally, this issue, the wearing the scarf. Sorry for misspeaking earlier.
Oh no, it's okay.
It's complicated. I mean, certainly there are arguments on both sides. I don't think anyone should be presenting it as a clearly right or clearly wrong issue, especially from the perspective of someone who's trying to represent chess and trying to advance their career. There's everyone's circumstances are different, especially yours, and it's just a thorny issue, no matter how you.
That's true, and I thought about it from a lot of perspectives, and I think it's definitely a debatable subject and very very sensitive one to everyone. And again, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
If I had been, in Nazi's situation, for example, because she basically started this, and I think she made a great point. And yeah, I really don't know what to tell you, but I told you my story, and I would have done it again, even if it was in another country. And, I wasn't afraid. I also want to say that, I wasn't afraid at all there. I know there have been a lot of discussions that Iran might not be safe for foreigners or something like that. But I think the International Chess Federation, when it's about organizing a tournament in a place, they will take enough precautions for the players to be safe in that environment. And I had to play previously. I would like to mention in 2008, I had told you that I qualified for the World Championship previously. In 2008, it was held in Nalchik in Russia. And you might remember that in 2008, there was a war that started between Russia and Georgia. And Nalchik was really close to that war area. And some players had boycotted the event because they thought they wouldn't be safe. And once again, I'd like to say that maybe FIDE doesn't make the best decisions in when they or where they organize tournaments, but I think they make sure that the players, wherever they will be, in whichever country, if somebody's, offering more support for chess, they will make sure that the players will be safe in that place. And I was safe at that point, and it was really close to the border, war, tanks everywhere, but we were safe in that place. And the same thing happened here. I mean, there was nothing to worry about in that environment. And I think it's important.
Okay. And in Iran, I know that given the controversy and the circumstances with your mother, it must have been a tough time. But did you get out and do anything adventurous there? Did you get to see any sights, or was it all business?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I was there only for 5 days because, after having lost, I had purchased my ticket in case I would lose from the first round. And so I had an extra day. And considering that Elshan's family is from there, his father was in the city, and he took me to see a little bit the city. We went to a museum. We went to the Grand Bazaar. We went to different, Persian restaurants, and it was a really beautiful city, and the people seemed all very nice. And this was outside of it was really far from where the tournament was held. So I just went with him and some other friends, and it was totally normal, and it's just a nice place.
Nice, yeah. I'd like to go there sometime, although probably not happening anytime soon, given my little
maybe
kids.
Not.
Yeah.
But you should know that Tehran also I know this from Elshan, is maybe not the best place to go if you want to visit Iran. There are some other beautiful cities with a lot of history in the northern part of Iran. So if you ever look at that, and it's also less people. I have to say that the traffic in Tehran was the worst I've ever seen. Even New York has a better traffic than there in the rush hours. So
that doesn't sound good.
No.
Okay, well, Sabina, the last thing I want to talk about is on your blog you talk about your interest in cooking a lot and combining cooking and chess. So how's that been going for you? How are your cooking projects going?
So as I was mentioning to you earlier, I'm trying to change that a little bit because I thought it was a great idea, but probably I haven't described it, or I haven't marketed as well as I would have liked, and I couldn't find a way to do it better. So I'm kind of changing that website to my personal website, and I'll keep the blog posts both related to chess and cooking. I really enjoyed cooking since I was a kid, and I find it a way of relaxing me. You know, just if I feel mad or if I am just stressed about something, you know, cooking for someone just makes me feel better. And traveling so much with chess around the world, I got to learn about different recipes, different types of foods, and I try to replicate them and in my own way. And, you know, I try to make them look good and, you know, so the pictures look good when I post something about it. But I haven't done it lately so much. It's been kind of a crazy period. But I really enjoyed doing it. So if somebody who's listening to the podcast at some point wants to get in touch with me and share some recipe, I'm more than happy to get that from them, and then I will try to start. I will try to cook it and then see how it turns out. That will be my goal, to eventually keep the blog part, but probably not every day. I think that was way too ambitious to think that I could do it every single day. It's true the day is long and you could do a lot of things if you plan well, but when it becomes something that you have to do every day, I think it becomes stressful as well. And you don't want, as a blogger, to just do something because you have to do it. You want people, when they read what you're writing, you want them to see passion. And I think my passion kind of started going away when I realized that I cannot do it every day. And I cannot post it. I still cook, obviously, at home, but I don't post something about it.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to it as I find my passion again to share things and recipes and find the inspiration. Right now, I'm working on changing a little bit the way the website looks to make it more professional. And I'm doing this on my own. Obviously, I can get someone to do it for me, but I like to learn new things, and this is one of them. This is something I've never been good at, computers, programming, and whatever, arranging stuff. So this is what I'm trying to do on my own, and it will take a little bit of time. But once it gets ready, I think I'll be able to start blogging about cooking and sharing recipes from the places I've been to, and hopefully people, will enjoy them and will start some kind of sharing. There are a lot of great cooks out there in the chess world who are great chess players and love cooking. So I think it's something that nobody really did before. They certainly, chess players certainly post a lot of pictures of their foods and what they cook, but I've never seen it before that somebody would share, recipes and stuff like that. So hopefully it could get, bigger, but if it doesn't, that's okay. Even, knowing that somebody enjoys what I'm doing and I can leave some legacy behind and, mixing the two things, it would be great. We'll see. We'll see if I come up with new ideas.
2 legacies potentially. So
potentially, yeah. Right. I'm actually considering. I was discussing with that Alshan to do some kind of cooking school thing, but just on my own, even online, like seeing ways to prepare things to make them beautifully presentable. Like, to have a great presentation. That's what I'm really interested in. So we'll see if I can do that as well. Nice. A lot of. It's a great hobby, I think, to have, but you have to be careful too, because you can gain a lot of weight by cooking a lot. So, so that's why the exercising is really important in the life of a chess player. So I'm working on that. I kind of neglected it for some time, but I've been on and off, and now this time, I think it's really important for me to be in shape to be able to continue to play good chess. Yeah.
Great. Well, do you have any chess tournaments on the horizon for your fans out there? Anything that you're definitely going to play?
For the moment, I haven't made a plan yet. As we are, deciding with the move, we're not sure when it will happen. I will be playing in the Women's World Team Chess Championship, which will take part in the second half of June in Khanty-Mansiysk in Russia. That's a tournament for sure. But I haven't decided yet whether I'll play anything else before or not. Hopefully I will, but we're not sure with the move how things are going. I will definitely go. I have to say this. I will go in Nashville for the Super Nationals.
Oh, right. Yeah, I wanted to mention that. I'll be there. That. Yeah, so that's exciting.
That's very exciting. It's the first time that I'll be there, and I'm very, happy that I've been invited to. I'll have a simultaneous exhibition, and probably I'll be discussing and analyzing players' games, and I'll see a lot of kids. I heard that the Super Nationals always attracts a large amount of kids, so I hope they'll be inspired by my story and by some of the other strong grandmasters who will be there, and former 7-time U.S. Women's champion Irina Krush will be there as well, and former last year's U.S. Women's champion Nazi Paikidze and Maurice Ashley will also be there, I think, and probably others.
Sam
Shankland, and I'm sure others like
Timur Gureyev.
Right. The Blindfold King, and my fiance is also coming.
Oh,
and,
great!
He's a grandmaster too. For those who are listening, Grandmaster Elshan Moradiabadi. He's been. Like I was mentioning earlier, doing a lot of reports and analysis for different websites and magazines, and we'll see. I think this is a great event. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never been to something like this. We have national championships in Romania, but they don't attract that many kids, and also it doesn't seem to be such a popular thing to see so many grandmasters sharing things, and I think the idea is amazing, and I'm really happy that this year I'll be able to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be the place where they could see me first, and that's in about 2 weeks, right? From I'm not sure when you'll post this, but
this will come out Tuesday. So
okay, sure.
Less than 2 weeks away by the time this comes out.
Yeah, so it's going to be really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great that they that U.S. Chess is investing in putting its best players forth for the kids to look up to, and I'm sure it's gratifying for players like you too to see that the chess you're playing that you inspire people.
Yes, that's my biggest goal. I want to continue my mom's legacy, and she always wanted this. She wanted to make something big, and already made something big by winning the U.S. Women's Championship. I think that will remain, my greatest victory so far. If I can inspire people in any way, I hope I can do that. And also, even if these kids, some of them might stop playing chess, I think the fact that they come there together, they learn through chess, like they become a community, and they know that they will always be able to go back to it and have those friendships and
shared
a
experience.
lot of things. Yes, a lot of things that maybe they won't use to further pursue chess as a career, like to be chess professionals, but they will use it to for their organizing skill, planning ahead, strategic thinking,
cooking.
Cooking maybe. Who knows? I mean, I have to work on my website. Hopefully it'll be ready by then.
I'm sure.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm sure it's
sure.
fine. I mean, it looks fine to me, and people know that you're a chess player first and foremost. So I think anything you can do to ensure. Go ahead.
But I really wish that they would get this idea of what I was trying to make. That if one day you messed up your cooking, and I would mix it with chess by sharing a game where somebody messed up, but you can mess up your cooking, but then save it somehow by adding a new ingredient. So I would mix that with chess, but I don't know. Maybe I need somebody to help me with the marketing a little bit better. Anyways, we'll see. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sabina, thank you so much for coming on. This was really enlightening, and I know you've been through a lot. So thank you for being so willing to talk about it.
No problem. I hope people enjoyed our discussion, and hopefully I didn't say anything to upset anyone. If I did, I would like to apologize, and hopefully they understand my perspective, and I try to understand theirs, and we live happily.
And if anyone wants to reach out to you for lessons or inquiries about anything else, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, as I'm building my website, it will be there. It's going to be sabinafoisor.com. But if they want to send me an email, they can send me on foisors@yahoo.com.
Okay.
And
and you're on Twitter as well, although
I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I have my Facebook page as well as an athlete, and I'm trying to still figure out how to have it verified, but hopefully that will work soon, because it's it's a little bit annoying that Twitter doesn't believe that I am who I say. So
yeah, they can be stingy with the verifications. Although it's not a problem that I have. no need to verify me, but still.
Yeah, but I think it's good at this point, people to know that what I'm saying is I'm saying it, and hopefully now I have to be a little bit. Probably, actually, now I'll have to be a little bit more cautious with what I'm writing. I shouldn't write anything silly, but in general, I pay attention to that. So,
great. Well, Sabina, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for being so generous with your time. Best of luck with the move and figuring out your and Elshan's next steps.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to checking some of the other. I checked some of the other podcasts, but I think this is a great idea. So, thank you for your work.
Thanks for listening to Perpetual Chess. To hear more episodes, give feedback, or suggest guests, go to perpetualchesspod.com. If you like the show, please help me out by telling your friends and giving me a high rating on iTunes. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Perpetual Chess Podcast.